So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to remove this end cap. You're not going to need it anymore because your new light's going to work way better than a reflector. Basically use a Phillips screwdriver to remove this screw on the bottom. And once the screw's out, the reflector and end cap will slide right off the back here. Your Kody light is going to use a couple U-bolts, 2-inch U-bolts to clamp to this square tube. And I'll show you in a second. The bracket can either clamp on top of the square tube or on the bottom, depending on how high you want your light. If you want it a little bit lower to make more clearance for your bikes up top, or if you want it sitting up high, if you have ground clearance issues on the vehicle, you can have it sit a little higher. So with your new light is going to come with a couple of these 2-inch U-bolts, and that'll be used to attach to the square tubing. They come with these nuts that'll be on there, but we're going to send also a few replacement lock nuts. They've got these nylon pieces inside. Once you install these, they're not going to back off or as it bounces around on your drives, and they'll stay nice and tight. So whether you install on the top or the bottom, you'll also have a choice of either sliding it all the way back or having it as far out as possible. Depending on where your bikes sit on your rack, you can choose different positions. On the bottom, when you install it here, you can actually slide it back a lot further than you could on the top. So you can go pretty far back because there's not a beam right there in the way to install it. For this video, I'm going to install it on the top. I think it's nice I've got a low vehicle, so it's nice to have anything that's hanging on the back sitting as high as possible. So next you decide which of these slots you're going to use, and I'm going to use the furthest to the rear slot. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to temporarily install my U-bolts into the frame, and I'm going to use this slot here. And then once I do that, I can flip it over and I'll install the plates, and I'll start the nuts onto the plates. This is all something you can do on the workbench versus doing it on in your hand for a video. Then once these are installed, I'm basically going to slide them onto the end of the rack, and I'm going to basically use the full length of. I'm going to put this back one there, and let me align the front of my front slot to have my U-bolt right at the end of the rack, and then I'm going to tighten it up. And then it's just tightening up your lock nuts in there. So it'll take a second to snug up, and then as it snugs up, we're going to be positioning everything again. We can clamp one of them first, position it, and then tighten the other one up. So now we're just tightening it up. Basically, I was holding the bracket in place as I tightened it up, and then now I'm going to tighten this second set up. Definitely with 3 moving parts, everything wants to move around quite a bit, so might be good to have something to hold the bracket in place as you tighten everything. And then you should tighten these lock nuts up. And your final step is going to be routing your cable from the light back to your vehicle's connection there. The cable's probably going to be a little longer, so you'll need to put a service loop somewhere, and also avoid any pinch points. So any kind of area that rotates, like this whole section here, I'm going to run it around that section to keep it from getting this thing caught into a space so they can get pinched like there. So I've got the cable routing finalized. So basically run it down, add a couple of zip ties here to the bracket, do that cable management here on the top of this. This whole thing pivots up and down, and it's out of the way of any pinch points. And my connection comes out past my bumper and is kind of flexible, so I can keep my light connection on the rack itself versus having it have a longer whip where it might plug into where it'd be attached to a bumper. Hey, thanks for joining us today. If you have any questions, you can check out our website at www.kodytechnologies.com, or feel free to give us a call or shoot us an email. Have a good day.